Freeholder Bobadilla. Freeholder Vice President Gill, absent. Freeholder Johnson. Freeholder Jones. Freeholder Luciano, absent. Freeholder Richardson, absent. Freeholder Sebo. Freeholder Toro. Freeholder President Timberlake.
Here. I have before me a certification from the clerk that this meeting is indeed in compliance with the Open Public Meeting Act. Can you please stand to salute the flag? I'm going to ask that Freeholder Jones please lead us in the salute. Please remain standing for a moment of silence. Thank you. I'm going to let Freeholder Luciano finish giving directions. I'm now recognizing Freeholder Luciano, who's now present with us. Madam Clerk, are there any transcripts to be approved?
Madam President, there are none.
Okay, are there any topics of discussion?
Madam President, yes. A presentation of the 2015 annual report by the Director, Deborah Collins, Esquire, of the Office of Small Business Development and Affirmative Action.
Thank you, Mr. Bromwich. Would you like to introduce Ms. Collins?
Yes, Madam President. Alan Brown, Deputy County Administrator. It's my pleasure to introduce Deborah Collins, Esquire, the Director of Small Business Development and Affirmative Action. She will present the 2015 annual report.
For the record, I'm Deborah Collins, Director of Small Business Development and Affirmative Action for the County of Essex. You have before you a copy of our 2015 annual report. In fact, the purpose of it is twofold. We document the purchases or contracts for goods and services that small SBEs, woman-owned WBEs, minority MBEs, and veteran VOBs businesses have provided to the county throughout the year 2015. The purpose of it, again, is to monitor our progress, to examine spending trends, and to determine where we may best dedicate our resources in order to ensure that the vendors in our target population have a full and fair opportunity to compete for county contracts. We also provide an overview of our outreach efforts, which are fundamental to our ability to expand our network to ensure that we are, in fact, engaging all who are ready, willing, and able to compete for such contracts. If you turn with me to page 2, I will now present to you the overall monetary achievements, not only for the quarter, the fourth quarter that is, but for the entire year. For the fourth quarter of 2015, the county spent $11,780,877 in private contracts. SBEs, WBEs, MBEs, and VOBs received $4,630,865.73, or 39% of the total spend. For a complete listing of fourth quarter contract awards, we direct your attention to Appendix A of this report. The breakdown by business classification or designation is as follows. SBEs, or small business enterprises, received $3,970,654, or 33%. Minority business enterprises received $192,437, or 2%. WBEs received $377,775, or 3% of the total percentage awarded to our target population. And last but not least, veteran-owned businesses received $90,000, or 0.8%. In 2015 overall, so we're moving from the quarter now to talk about the year, the county awarded $73,235,525 in private contracts. The amount awarded to our target population overall was $38,230,269, or 52%. MBEs received $4,720,236, or 6%. SBEs received $22,813,592, or 31%. WBEs received $10,551,440, or 14%. And the sole VOB, or veteran-owned business, French and Perillo and Associates, received $145,000, or 0.20% of the total contract dollar for the year, total contract dollars for the year 2015. We refer you to Appendix B, a bar graph illustrating total percentages of contract dollars awarded to each of these classifications for the year 2015. As you, of course, know, for the past 2 years, the county's been engaged in a $30 million reconstruction of South Orange Avenue. We call it, in fact, the S-curve project. The point of it is to flatten the curves in the road, enhance motor vehicle safety and storm drainage, and make the road meet modern traffic design standards. This was a 2-year project, anticipated 2-year project, federally funded, which means, of course, that there was, in fact, an assigned goal on it. The goal was 12% of disadvantaged business enterprise subcontractor participation. And we note that the DBE designation encompasses both women and men who've met the business certification criteria established by the Department of Transportation to ensure that underrepresented business owners have a full and fair opportunity to compete for subcontracts on federal projects. As of the writing of this report, the actual participation goal attained was 18.4%. Among the DBE subcontractors, MB Contracting received the largest contract award in the amount of $2,636,930. At Appendix C, you will find a subcontractor log listing full participation. Thank you. We refer you now to additional accomplishments for 2015. For the first time ever, we partnered with Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Businesses at LaGuardia Community College to present a workshop on strategies to accelerate revenue growth. This was actually an actual workshop to encourage business owners to take their businesses to the next level. This specific workshop was designed to target women-owned businesses. And as a consequence of it, several business owners registered for the next program cycle, and we are very proud of that participation and look forward to continued cooperation and partnership with Goldman Sachs. Our outreach efforts not only connect us with a broad network of entrepreneurs, they educate the attendees on what it takes to build capacity or to grow their businesses. And we would like you to know that there is, in fact, a measurable connection, if not a direct correlation, between actual attendance at our seminars and contract awards to small, women-owned, veteran-owned, and minority businesses. So what we've been tracking over the past 2 years is the number of contract awards which our vendors have received, and we're speaking specifically about those who have attended our workshop. So there's a direct correlation between our outreach efforts and the actual potential or possibility of our vendors receiving contract awards. So we've been actually looking at this number or tracking the progress harkening back to 2006. We're pleased to report that in 2015, 23 vendors were added to the list, making the new total 79 vendors since our very first event. At Appendix E, you will actually find the listing of contracts awarded to vendors or contractors who've attended our events in the year 2015. In short, our outreach efforts have been significant. We've either sponsored or attended over 40 events in 2015. A phenomenal feat, and I just want to pause at this time to recognize my staff for their heroic efforts. With us this evening is Jessica Valle, our compliance coordinator. She's our quants person. She crunches the numbers for us. And Tammy Marshall, who is jack of all trades. She's our office manager. I want to thank them both for their contributions to this report. Last but not least, we've collaborated with the Essex County Vocational Technical School System in order to help them source and retain a vendor, Alabaster Services, an MBE contract monitor, to help us establish aspirational subcontracting and workforce goals on the proposed new vocational technical school, which is to be named after the late Donald M. Payne Sr. We also worked with the VOTEC to negotiate the terms of a contract that led to the creation of the very first ever Essex County pre-apprenticeship program. This program was the brainchild of our county executive, and it enabled 9 graduates to study for trade union entrance exams while working either in the county's public works departments or in the parks department. I note that I don't see Freeholder Gill, but I know that he's always interested in our technological progress. We note that many of our business owners are now, in fact, becoming far more technologically savvy. So to meet their needs, our marketing strategy now relies heavily upon the use of an application called MailChimp. It's an email service that enables us to send out approximately 1,000 emails to our vendors every other day. Sending out the emails is the first step. Ascertaining how many have been viewed is of even greater significance to us. What it does is provide us with a quote-unquote bounce back rate, which lets us know which email addresses are no longer any good, and that way we're able, of course, to scrub our database. We use this data along with seminar evaluations to determine the topics that are of most interest to our prospective attendees, and then to offer these topics to our population. We've also added another feature. It's called Eventbrite, and what it does, for those of you who don't know, it's an online event registration management system which allows us to promote our events on several different social media platforms while maintaining one registration list. So that's a couple of the things that we're doing actually to progress in the area of our technological sphere. But what it does also is provide us with real-time analytical information on where, when, and how our audience is expanding or responding to these events. In that Appendix F, we actually give you a sample of the use of Eventbrite in the digital age. While we are going digital and digitizing many of our platforms, we're still relying heavily on our Excel database registry because there are some business owners who, in fact, are not familiar with this, with digitization. So we provide you, in fact, with, at Appendix G, Google Analytics for the year 2015, an audience overview. And we'd like you to know that according to Google Analytics, 5,151 users viewed our page for a total of 12,404 times in 2015. And so we're always trying to increase our visibility, which of course means that we will maximize the number of vendors who actually are becoming familiar with the work that we do. The use of metrics to quantify the impact of our outreach efforts continues to provide us with valuable information. For example, upon the launch of our e-newsletter, we requested reports from our vendor, Positive Publications, a WBE by the way, indicating the delivery rate via the internet and the open rate, and we give you that report as well. Every year, we host a panel discussion on growing your business in the digital age. It's always oversubscribed, usually standing room only audience, a standing room only audience who are also interested in how, in fact, they might grow their businesses through the use of the internet. In June of 2015, we convened a focus group. We've been talking about creating an online tutorial, if you will, on the bidding process to make it easier for our business owners to, in fact, decide whether or not to bid on county contracts, and we're continuing to move forward in that regard. We've worked with the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, and we capped off the year on December 4th by participating in the Newark Small Business Engagement Strategy Session that was hosted by the Newark Community Economic Development Corporation. More about that as we go forward. We continue to provide technical assistance to our business owners. Last year, we held 3 OSHA certification programs, that's Occupational Safety and Health Administration outreach training programs. 2 of them focused on OSHA 10, which is the minimum requirement for any individual interested in working on a construction site. But we also ran an OSHA 30 program, which is now the requirement not only in the public sector, but the private sector, because it focuses on safety at the level at which safety inspectors are required to become familiar with how to operate in what can be a very unsafe environment. Going forward, we'll endeavor to offer OSHA 30 courses each year. In fact, we have one going on as I speak. A highlight of 2015 was our very first ever collaboration with Turner Construction. We offered a 9-week Turner Construction Turner School of Construction Management program. Interestingly, it drew 45 registrants, and the attendance remained stable for the entire 9-week period. So we graduated out of that program, all 45 original registrants. On September 24th, this director served as a moderator of a panel discussion hosted by the African American Chamber of Commerce at its annual leadership conference. We exhibited there and provided information to African American business owners who had not heretofore registered to do business with the County of Essex. In sum and substance, we continue to foster new partnerships with financiers, government lenders, partners in the small business development space, etc., and others who seek to provide access to capital to the businesses in our target population. Moreover, we've begun exploring the possibility of partnering with the United States Small Business Administration's Emerging Leaders Initiative and the state of New Jersey to present a program for veteran-owned businesses this year. This program will familiarize veterans with loan programs for which they may be eligible through the SBA. And in the meantime, we want to thank this board and the county administration for the continuing support that we receive, which enables us, in fact, to continue putting Essex County first. This constitutes our report, and I'm happy to take any questions you may have at this time.
Thank you. Freeholder Jones?
Well,
I know that you, there was a meeting on Affirmative Action Committee meeting on February 8th, and I know you have some questions or comments for Ms. Collins.
well, first of all, the report was excellent dealing with small businesses, Director.
Thank you.
But my concern, when we look on the first page of the percentage of minority business receive only $192,000. And then when we look back in terms of on page, you were very happy that you had this program for apprenticeship. You have a community of 800,000 people, and only 9 people are positioned in terms of apprenticeship to work into construction management. Then we talked about OSHA, what Turner Construction, 45 people, but as I've said, if you look at the break it down into percentage, we have a long ways to go. And I understand the digital this and that, but most people who own businesses and small businesses, they are those who are average and above, who know something about business. But what I'm saying to you, if you interns with the high school or people who have taken the course in OSHA, is that we would get more of them and try training them to be more entrepreneurs as opposed to employees. But other than that, was my concern. It's about creating positions through your small business and partnership in the community of Essex, because we're in dire need. The number sounds great. You gave me an excellent program, but when I look around, I see something differently. So hopefully we will see a difference in the percentage when you do your next report for the freeholders in terms of a number of minorities receiving 2% in terms of the money or jobs, and 9 people apprenticeship. I would like to see 90 people in apprenticeship. I would like to see the minority go up. I know 2 is nothing, but at least 10. So if we could work on those aspects and see can we get more people involved, then next time, I'll have even more praise for you.
Yes.
So thank you.
Thank you for your kind comments. Just a point of clarification. The pre-apprenticeship program is specific to the Essex County Vocational Technical School project, and those pre-apprentices are young people who graduated from the vocational technical school. So it's a pilot program, experimental, and it is the first time we've ever tried it. So we have a lot that we want to accomplish through it, but these are the 9 young people who have graduated from the school, and we're attempting now to get them to become apprentices and join unions. So I just wanted to clarify that point, but thank you so much for your comments.
Well, as I said, that was basically it. It's just a concern of getting more people involved in small businesses, and you have to go through the county and vocational school is the blue ribbon of schools now. So many kids who were eligible.
Freeholder Jones, can you please speak into the microphone?
Many, our schools are blue ribbon schools now, so many of our students who were eligible for vocational training or education, they're not able to participate because you got the kids whose scores very high in tested and their grades, and therefore we gonna have to reach beyond the vocational school for those kids and try putting them with recommendation maybe from principals from the regular public schools in Essex County, that this child has the talent and we need to follow through in terms of trying to put them in to a vocational school, as opposed to the program that we have is really college prep. We need more vocational schools, and that is my concern. It's nothing to do with your business. That person who is a business owner, they know what they're doing, they're focused, and they will do great. But I'm looking for that one where there is no hope, and we're going to have to bring hope and guidance in terms that they can too become independent and well-versed, working citizens of Essex County. But as I said to you again, I'm not criticizing you or anything to that effect. The number speaks for itself, and you did an excellent job.
Thank you. If I may, Madam President, just one other point of clarification. The 2% MBE number actually refers to the fourth quarter, and of course, by the fourth quarter, we're at the end of the year, and we're not awarding as many contracts. For the entire year, the number for MBEs was 6%, but to your point, we're always looking to increase that number. We too want to see that number grow, and we're doing everything within our power to make that happen. Thank you for your comments.
Freeholder Bobadilla?
Thank you. First, I just want to say thank you. I know that this last quarter, we actually put a OSHA 10 class in Spanish.
Yes, we
And
did.
was that the first?
The very first ever, yes.
And I just
thank
wanna
you, by the
say-
way, for your support of that program.
No, you know what? You reached out to me, and we both made it happen, so it was a team effort. Regarding the veteran-owned businesses,
Yes,
.8, is that for the last quarter?
that .8, yes, it's for the fourth quarter,
Okay.
yes.
Is the number attributed to not having veteran businesses registered, or are we
Exactly, and I thank you for pointing that out. One of the challenges that we face is encouraging our businesses to register. We don't know that you're out there if you don't go through the process of becoming certified or registered in one of these categories. And that is why we are looking forward to working with the SBA to get that information out there. There may be other veteran-owned businesses out there who simply do not know that the state has now created a designation for them. That's why this number looks as low as it does, because we're only aware of that one business
Yeah.
that has registered
That's
and has done
excellent.
business with the
Yeah,
county.
I mean, I can't speak for everybody, but include me in that and whatever we need to do to put that charge forward.
Excellent.
Get
Thank
the
you
word
so
out.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Freeholder Seabolt?
Thank you. I'd like to commend Deborah Collins and her entire staff for all the wonderful work that they do.
Thank you.
I was a freeholder before we even had a small business development and affirmative action group. And although I know that we haven't reached perfection, we certainly are on the way, and I do know that we're ahead of all the other counties here in New Jersey. So you're doing an absolutely wonderful job. And it was interesting to see in the appendix all the different programs that you've had through the year. So I think you're doing a terrific job, and keep up the great work.
I thank you for that. And I also want to just take a moment to thank our county executive for the support that he gives us. And we are still the only county out of 21 in the state of New Jersey that collects these numbers
Right.
and publicizes them. And for that,
I know
I
that.
thank our county executive for supporting our efforts and for having what I consider to be the courage to go forward with the news, whatever it is. We present the numbers as they are, and the numbers, as we have heard, do speak for themselves.
That's why I said
We
we're
are
ahead of all the other
transparent.
counties, and you're doing a great job with it.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Freeholder Siebold, and thank you for your continuing support. We love seeing you at our events.
I love going.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Freeholder Toro?
Director Collins, as usual, I'm very impressed
Thank you.
with your report. I know that you put in a lot of work to come up with these results. I'm very impressed with your outreach efforts. You know, you're constantly coming up not only with, workshops that offers valuable information, but it's interesting information and information that really can elevate a business to the next level. And as far as the OSHA 10 and the OSHA 30, I'm also pleased that for the first time you offered it in Spanish. And the OSHA 30, when we started promoting it at the One Stop and customers started calling in the same day, 5 people were inquiring and trying to call. It was already booked, and there were a few weeks left still to register. So there is definitely a high demand.
Yes.
And it's a useful certification to really help them become more marketable in finding employment in construction. How many members are on your team or on your staff?
Counting
altogether?
myself, there are 3 of us.
That's what I thought. And this is a lot of work for 3 people. And I would love, if you had just more manpower, we can definitely offer so much more, as all the freeholders have mentioned tonight. We're on the right path, and there's a long way to go, but with a 3-person force, it's difficult and it can be limited. But again, thank you for all you do, and to your team, and keep up the good work.
Thank you. Thank you. I just want to mention for the record that, yes, we are lean, but the county exec also prides himself on having directors who wear more than one hat. I'm sitting next to not only our deputy county administrator, but our director of human resources. So we're all pretty lean and hardworking. I'm proud to be a member of this team. Thank you.
Freeholders? Well, Director Collins, I thank you for everything it is that you do. I already shared my sentiment in our Affirmative Action Committee meeting. I'm impressed with the amount of work in which you all have been putting in, and how you are hammering away to make the numbers better. I did want to see this quarter's numbers higher than what they are. As mentioned previously, small businesses can be defined as a business that even has about 100 employees. So when I see numbers of 33% in categorized as a small business, I'm not always impressed. But where it's minority businesses, 2%, and women-owned businesses, 3%, and veteran-owned businesses, 0.8%. I know that we all agree that we just have to continue hammering away and working harder so that we can get those numbers up. I commend you for all that your office and your staff does. And, if you need more manpower, or, I guess that can be a discussion at a later date, but that's what I've been hearing for the past, this is the 2nd year in a row, that, it sounds as if for the amount of work and what it is that you need to produce, that department is understaffed. So I encourage you to have those conversations as well before we pass the budget.
Well, we certainly appreciate your input, appreciate the feedback, and for the record, I do want the public as well to focus on the big picture. The 4th quarter was not a quarter of which we are particularly proud, but again, it reflects the end of the year, the end of the budget season. If we look at the year overall, the percentage was 6%, and as I say, we will certainly compare those numbers to any other county or municipality that captures such information, simply to say that we are ahead of the pack. We know that there's more to do, but we are proud of the work that this office and this administration does with the support of the Board of Children Freeholders. So I thank you for your comments and your feedback.
Yes, and thank you. And as a competitive person, in sports, you know, it's good to be ahead of the pack. It's good to be, you know, leading the race and leading the charge, but sometimes it's also great to leave people behind in dust and set records on our own and to only be in competition with ourselves. That's how, you know, runners are in competition with their own time. So I want to encourage us to take a look at our own numbers each time and try to break those records every single time we go for it.
We continue to do so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, let's move to a public comment session. If there's any member of the public that's here tonight wishing to comment on any issue agenda related, please come forward, state your name and affiliation for the record, and you'll have 3 minutes to speak, monitored by the clock to my right. Okay, Madam Clerk, let the record reflect there's no one wishing to speak on agenda items only. If there's any member of the public wishing to speak on any issue at all, please come forward, state your name and affiliation for the record, and you'll have 3 minutes to speak, monitored by the clock to my right.
Good evening, freeholders. My name is Kevin Brown. I am Vice President of 32BJ of the Service Employees International Union. We represent 150,000 workers along the East Coast and 11,000 here in New Jersey. I live in Milburn. To my left is Flor Zuniga, who's one of the cleaners that we represent that clean the county buildings, including this building. We represent 26 workers who are the custodians who clean the county buildings. We've represented the workers for, I don't know, about 10 years. And it's always been a struggle for us to be able to maintain that these workers get paid the prevailing wages and benefits of that the private sector workers that we represent. The bid number 16-035 came out for bid about a week ago. In the bid, the specifications stated that between wages and benefits, the total package was supposed to be now $15.65 an hour. When you add wages plus health care and a tiny little pension and a training fund, it adds up to well over $15. It's more like $21.42 an hour. So if the current bid were to be unamended, and we have had discussions with the county executive and the chief of staff, it would result in the workers not being able to make $15 an hour, and in many cases these workers would be reduced. We really strongly encourage that the bids are due for this bid next Wednesday, and we really encourage that the wage rate that's set would allow these workers to be paid at least $15 an hour plus the cost of benefits, which would result in about $21, total package of about $21.42 an hour. If not, these workers will be hurt, and we believe that a society is judged by how we treat the least amongst us. The janitors shouldn't have to make $11.50 like many of them do who are clean here in the county. We're now going to hear from one of those workers, and I thank you very much for the opportunity to address the board.
Buenas noches, mi nombre es Flor Zúñiga.
Good evening. My name is Flor Zuniga.
Tengo trabajando 9 años en el Leroy Smith Building
I've been working for 9 years at the Leroy Smith building.
y tengo un sueldo de $11.50 la hora, yo y un grupo de compañeros de trabajo más.
Myself and a group of coworkers are making $11.50 an hour.
Yo creo que es justo que estemos al nivel de los trabajadores de NUAR ganando
I think it's just that we are at the same level as other workers in Newark
y que están ganando el resto. Gracias por escucharme.
that are making more. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
We are available for questions if you have them.
Freeholders, it's a public comment session. I usually don't open up for questions. However, if anyone would like to make a comment. Fredo Luciano?
I just want to make a comment for the record, Madam President, that I know Kevin Brown personally. I know he lives in my district in Milburn, and I know that he's a first-class fighter for labor unions and collective bargaining. He raises a good point. I'm not that familiar with what went out to bid, and that's where I would turn it over to our legal counsel, Michael Parlavecchio. But I just want to put on record, I appreciate them coming in front of our board tonight and expressing their concern. I want to say thank you to the custodial staff member that also had the courage to stand in front of our microphone and express her opinion on the situation. And if I could just turn it over to Michael and to you, Madam President, maybe we could somehow speak with the fourth floor and the administration to see where we are and, you know, how we could come to some resolve here. Thank you.
Madam President, I'm glad Freeholder Luciano mentioned that. We, the board, don't usually see the bids before they go out or the specifications as they, the raw specifications that go out to
Mr.
potential
Parlavecchio?
vendors. Yeah.
Fredo Bobadilla, can you please translate? Or Fredo de Toro?
I'll start again.
Yeah.
What I was saying is the Freeholder Board doesn't get involved in the development of the specs or the specifications that go out with the bids.
But we will have a chance to vet this once the bid comes back and it becomes before the board, correct?
But what I just want to caution
That was
is...
English.
Yeah, that was English. It was, that sounded nothing like what
No,
I said.
no,
Okay, good. She's translating, okay.
She's translating.
Okay, but what I just want to be concerned with, I don't want to inject any terms or possible ideas that could somehow undo the specifications that were put out there. If there are any amendments or alterations that are to be done to that bid, with, as Mr. Brown indicated, there were some discussions with what I presume to be the administration. That will be done in the normal bidding process, and the vendors will all be notified in the, accordingly. So I just don't want the board, while I'm sure there are some ideas and suggestions that could be made, not to do it at this point.
I just wanted to say, I understood the point very clear, but I don't consider our janitors and custodian staff to be the least of these. I consider them to be on the same level as us. I couldn't have my meetings in the way in which I need to have them in my office if it weren't for them first making sure that my office was in order. And trust me, I have a lot of paperwork scattered about. But with that said, we will certainly look into it, you know, and we will talk to the administration to see what it is that can be done and within the proper legal guidelines. And we'll also respond in writing within 7 days. Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much.
Are there any other members of the public wishing to speak on any issue at all? Please come forward, state your name and affiliation for the record.
Good evening, freeholders. My name is Wendy Zuniga, and I'm the Executive Director of United Transportation Alliance of New Jersey. We're an affiliate of CWA Local 1039. I'm just here this evening to ask the freeholders for support on, I don't know how many of you heard what happened yesterday in the city of Newark. We had organized so the drivers would go in front of the city council and the mayor and ask for support in regulating and in enforcing regulations that are already in place with rideshare companies that are in the county and Newark, specifically in the airport, Penn Station, and other municipalities around the state. So we are here today just asking for support. We have state legislation down at the Assembly and at the Senate, and we need as much legislative support as we could get to get the Assembly and the Senate to move on regulating of the rideshare companies. But I think the story is best heard from one of the drivers, which is here today, and he'll talk a little bit more about how it's affecting the industry. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Abbas, the president from Newark Cab Association. I present 600 cab in the city of Newark, over 1,000 of the driver in the city of Newark. Today, we would love to ask you for support for safety in the state, the people in the state of New Jersey. Yesterday, we have a meeting in the council room. You have over 100 people, and the mayor will thank you for your support. He's been unspoken about it. It's not about business and losing money. It is about safety matter. We do work in the airport. It's open houses. You have people doesn't have even New Jersey license. We wait in like 4 to 6 hours in the line to pick up one trip. Like sure, right, like an Uber Lyft, what is legal, and we have already law, but they not follow the law of the state of New Jersey. Why they not follow? Because they didn't have no fingerprint, which the state fingerprint, they didn't have a medical exam, they never have a license of the city of Newark or any other city, or hack license from city of Newark and other city. They didn't have no inspection as we do. They have inspection twice a year, and we have to pay the city $25 each time. They didn't have no commercial insurance, which you know is very important. They didn't have no commercial plate number, so you don't know who behind the wheels, and no corporation taxes and a small business doing. Most of them doesn't have even New Jersey driver license. Yesterday, when we went to the city of Newark, we have our support to the association from Elizabeth, Irvington, Jersey City, Hoboken, Bloomfield, East Orange. So we'd like to support you basically because nobody are forcing this share right to do. Now we hear officially 25 sexual harassment happen. They have, this is officially 6 kidnaps. They have almost 6 days plus 6 Saturdays plus 21 assault by the driver to the customer. Usually I've been working in the business for 20 years. We always hear the driver get shot or get raped or whatever. Now we hear the opposite way. We hear the driver is doing that. So we're asking for the safety matter and for the citizen of the state of New Jersey. We need your support and help to protect these people from unknown people. We don't know where they come from. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you, Madam President, and to the Board of Freeholders. I want to thank you for allowing me to speak here tonight. My name is Hector Corchado. I reside here in the city of Newark, 12 Rhodes Place. Very happy resident of Essex County, and thank you for your work. And also the chairman, Jody, has done a very good job. I want to put that out first there. I'm here representing 1868 Public Affairs. I'm a lobbyist with them, and also CWA. We have been representing and helping the Newark Taxi Division drivers, along with the community cars that you see out there, such as Gold and Classic. Some of those vehicles are here servicing the public for over 30 to 40 years. Just recently, we saw what happened in Kalamazoo, Michigan. You saw that there was an actual shooter, and that shooter was an Uber driver. So this is the problem that we've been having, not only here in the city of Newark, in the county of Essex, in the nation. It's an international problem. And what happened is that you have a company that comes in, several companies that come in and say, we have new technology, but we're not going to follow the rules. And somehow, some way, they have not been forced to follow the rule of law. You know, they can go out and work in the streets and not have to obey any local laws, state laws, or federal laws that mandate how these drivers, Albas, and all these drivers that got to go out there in order to serve the public. We went in front of the legislation in the State House and also the Senate. There are 2 pending bills, but it's been over a year. We've been working very hard to set new guidelines and new rules. I can tell you this on a professional level. I'm wearing 2 hats. As a former law enforcement officer, I left the city of Newark, retired sergeant, also a deputy police director there as well. And more importantly, I was the regulator of the taxi division in Newark. So I know this firsthand. There is no way that these individuals can work out here without doing the due diligence. When you tell a person that you don't have to get a fingerprint background check, then your life is at risk and other people's life. The only way you can say that it belongs to you is your fingerprints. If not, people are going to use aliases. They're going to use wrong names. They're going to give you wrong date of birth. There's no way for you to do it. These companies do it over the internet where they don't even have a face-to-face. They don't go through any medical evaluation from a doctor. So this is the problem that you have, and a lot of people like to use it because it's cheap and it's an easy way for them to get by. But you got to remember, you put yourself at risk when you do that. The reason it's cheap is because they don't have to pay the insurance, they don't have to pay the licenses, so that's why they can afford to come in and say anybody could become a driver. And all they're doing right now is recruiting at a high level, getting people in that say they're going to make all this money, but eventually they don't make that money because there's way too many people working. I thank you for your time. I hope we can get that resolution of support. The City of New York has done it, and I hope that you guys can do it as well. Thank you so much. And again, thank you for your service. I'm very happy with you guys.
Thank you. Freeholder Bobadilla?
I just want to go on the record, and I agree with many of the points that you brought up along with Wendy, and you definitely got my support on that resolution.
Freeholder Johnson?
Yes, I am definitely a person that believes in fairness all the way around. And when you talk about what the cabbies have to go through to get their medallions and all of these things, it's ridiculous to have someone come in and you can go on the internet and punch your stuff in and all of a sudden you're a driver. I think they should all be on the same playing field, and I'm definitely going to support that resolution along with you.
Freeholders? Roberto Luciano?
Thank you, Madam President, through you. I do support my freeholder colleagues. I know our former councilman, Hector Corchado, very well, and I want to thank the driver who came in front of us for his courage. But I do want to, for at least a second here, put my opinion on the record that in supporting a resolution on this freeholder board, the only way that I would move forward on supporting it would be to level the playing field as far as asking the rideshare companies like Lyft and Uber to just increase their, I want to say, I guess, qualifications, security, and to play by the same rules. I don't want to take Uber and Lyft away from the residents and the folks in this county, because the statistics have showed that in the United States, a company like Uber has stopped or saved at least 500 deaths in 2015 from drunk driving. Mothers Against Drunk Driving, MAD, who I'm sure you all have heard of, has come out strongly in support of ride sharing. And one of the reasons why they support ride sharing so much is because when the regular cab company closes down at 11 o'clock or midnight, Lyft and Uber still continue on through the night at 1 a.m., 2 a.m., and 3 a.m. And this is when most of these severe cases happen. I also wanted to put on record that Uber has stood up and said that they have increased women in the workplace, which they have. They are an equal opportunity employer. They have not discriminated against people because of their age. They have not discriminated against them because of their sex. And in my opinion, I think that this is a company that's healthy. So I don't really want to see them hurt, but I can definitely see eye to eye with Mr. Corchado, where, sure, we'd like to see them make sure that their drivers have been screened, make sure that they've been fingerprinted, maybe even have the proper insurance. So I just wanted to put that on record so it didn't seem, if we move forward with this, that the Freeholder Board was against ride sharing. And I can tell you personally myself, I use ride sharing all the time for whatever reason, whether it be because I'm out late myself with my pals or just because of the sheer convenience. I mean, we also live in a world where it's not easy to park. And I know the neighborhoods up in my communities where you can't find parking. So sometimes, rather than park illegally or put yourself in a position where you don't know if your vehicle is going to be towed, you'd rather take a $7, $8, or $10 cab to the location that you want to go. And that was something that I actually did on New Year's Eve, because I knew where I was going. There wasn't going to be any parking. So I want to put this on record and let you know, Mr. Corchado, and the folks that came before you, that I do hear you loud and clear, and I support that, and I'd like to see the state have some stronger, penalties on those that don't play by the same rules. But I in no way, shape, or form want to see these companies go out of business, which I think do offer a good service and have helped out. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Freeholders? Freeholder Jones?
You know, we're talking about safety, and, you know, safety is one thing, and your life is another one. And what I think I heard is that you want an even playing field. If the regular cabs have to follow certain rules and regulations, you can't have two sets of rules for one person and not the other, because I understand that, because it happens to us. But what I'm saying is, if the state have a mandate for the regular cabs, then they should too apply to the other businesses. And that's it. It's just safety, because what happened with the 6 people that man just randomly shot, if they had had some type of screening, maybe those 6 innocent people wouldn't be dead.
Thank you. Freeholders? Thank you, Mr. Cruzado, and those who came before us. You know, I encourage you to send the language over that you have or have already been working on in the state over to our freeholder office if it's not there already. Freeholder Luciano, you brought up some excellent points. You know, I do also believe in equality, and, you know, if the rules in order to be a driver are set in the state of New Jersey, then perhaps everyone needs to follow those rules. But I also completely agree with Freeholder Luciano. You know, competition causes us to be better at what we do. When we get into an Uber car, there's a bottle of water in the Uber car. The Uber car smells nice. When you use your cell phone, you can see where the Uber car is at. You know exactly when he's coming. I had called for cabs several times in the past, and the dispatcher was hollering and screaming and rude and hanging up the phone, and you call him back, and that was occurring. You know, so this is something, Uber being around has actually, I believe, throughout the nation, in essence, required taxi drivers and taxi companies to have to step up their game, if you will. So yes, I do support equality, and I would support the resolution, but I guess I've just been waiting for a really long time to be able to talk to those who are leaders within the taxi industry to speak about the services provided, because you got to ask yourself, why is Uber succeeding the way in which it is? And those reasons in which I just stated have a lot to do with it. Furthermore, Freeholder Luciano mentioned discrimination about age as far as employment from Uber hiring, as well as, you know, ethnicity and you know, women leading the charge on hiring. But taxi drivers in the past, not just in New Jersey, but again, it's an issue around the nation, primarily cities where taxi drivers are at, such as New York City. There's discrimination based upon who gets picked up sometimes. That is a very big issue. And with Uber, I have never been discriminated upon by sending in something and having them bring a ride. So, and you know what? There was one time that I thought that I might have been. And when I sent in the inquiry, right away, I received a response back from customer service saying that is absolutely not our motto or our goal. And they spoke to the driver, and it was this whole big ordeal. So again, what I'm saying is, you know, if there's a Burger King, then there's going to be a McDonald's. Okay, where there's something in existence, there's going to always be something to challenge you to be better. I'm not telling you that I don't support the resolution, because I will. Again, I agree with what Freeholder Jones said regarding equality, but what I am saying is it's food for thought for the entire taxi industry to simply step up their game and to do better as well. Anyone else? Okay. Thank you. And we'll also respond in writing. And please send over language. Almost lost my place. We were in the zone there for a minute, huh? Okay. Well, give me a moment. We're on ordinances. Okay. Do we have any ordinances or resolutions for introduction and first reading?
Madam President, we have none.
Okay. Do we have any ordinances or resolutions for listing purposes only?
Yes, we have 3. Resolution Number R 2016-00132, resolution to exceed the county tax levy and to establish a cap bank for calendar year 2016 per NJSA 4A:4-45.14. Resolution 2, resolution number R 2016-00133, introduction of the 2016 Essex County budget. Ordinance number 3, number O-2016-00007, amendment to the ordinance O-23-00014, permitting the services of alcohol at the Essex County Turtle Bag Zoo Cafe.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Clerk. You can please list all resolutions R 2016-00132, R 2016-00133, and ordinance O 2016-0007 for a public hearing at our March 9th meeting. Do we have any ordinances and resolutions for second reading and public hearing?
Madam President, we have one. Ordinance number O-2016-00006, a refunding ordinance providing for the refunding of certain general obligations bonds of the County of Essex, New Jersey, appropriating $52 million, therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $52 million bonds or notes of the county for financing the cost thereof.
Okay. Madam Clerk, let's move to the public hearing for ordinance O 2016-00006. I hereby declare the public hearing open. If there's any member of the public wishing to comment for or against this ordinance, please come forward to the microphone, state your name and affiliation for the record, and you'll have 3 minutes to speak. Okay. Let the record reflect there's no one wishing to speak from the public. Mr. Polavecchio, do you have any questions or comments?
No, I do not.
Okay. Mr. McInerney? No. Freeholders, did you have any additional questions regarding this ordinance? Do I have a motion and a second to close public hearing on O 2016-00006?
Move it.
Moved by Freeholder Bobadilla. Second by Freeholder Jones. Do I have the same mover and second to approve this ordinance? Yes. Okay, that's an affirmative. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Bobadilla.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Gill, absent Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Jones.
The 2 I will, but 3 I will not support.
Freeholder Jones?
Oh, read that for now? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right.
What would you like your vote to be?
I'll vote on it, but I would just think it's 3.
Oh, yes, ma'am. No, this is not the ordinance to amend permitting services. This is actually a different ordinance. Those ordinances were just listed for listing purposes only.
For listing purposes?
Yes, ma'am. We're not voting on 1 through 3.
Okay.
We're just going to be voting on for the second hearing and the public hearing.
Okay, all
1.
right. Okay,
Right.
I'll vote yes. For
Okay.
ordinance resolution, second reading in public. Hearing, yeah.
Freeholder Lucio,
Yes.
Freeholder Richardson, absent Freeholder Siebel.
Yes.
Freeholder Toro.
Yes.
Freeholder President Timberlake.
Yes.
So moved.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to take the meeting out of order. Let's move to resolution number 8, as well as if you could read resolution 44, 45, and 46.
Resolution 8, Office of the County Counsel, Professional Services, to provide legal services representing the county at civil commencement hearings, including guardianship at the Essex County Hospital Center, March 1st, 2016 through December 31st, 2016. Inglacio, Webster, Wysiskala, and Taylor, $17,000.
Mr. Abramowitz?
Yes, Madam President. Thank you for allowing us to reinsert this back in the agenda. We had proposed this last week, but there was some documents missing, so we decided to pull it until the documents were provided. They are provided now, so we'd like to present it to you for consideration this evening. It's the professional services, legal services representing the county at civil commitment hearings, including guardianship at the Essex County Hospital Center. The contract goes from March 1st, 2016 through December 31st, 2016. Actually, it's a new vendor, but the same attorney that was doing this previously in previous years went over to this other law firm, so that's why it's considered a new vendor, but it's still a person we've been working with for many years. They represent the county at civil commitment hearings, guardianships, and the hospital center, and because it's a hospital center, it's an 85 reimbursement from the state of New Jersey.
Thank you. Mr. Polavecchio?
I don't have any questions.
Mr. McInerney?
No questions, Madam President.
Freeholders? We did see it on the agenda last week. It was withdrawn. Yes, we see it back here, and we had discussion around it in leadership as well. Thank you. Madam
And
Clerk,
the
did you read 44, 45?
Nope. I'll do it right now, Madam
Please move to
President.
44, 45, and 46.
Okay. Resolution 44, Department of Public Works, Division of Engineering, contract award to Zenith Construction Services, the lowest responsive and responsible bidder for Bison Exhibit Observation Area Improvements, amount not to exceed $549,900. Resolution 45, Department of Public Works, Division of Engineering, contract award to Zenith Construction Company Services Incorporated, the lowest responsive and responsible bidder for petting zoo improvements at Turtleback Zoo, amount not to exceed $258,500. Resolution 46, Department of Public Works, Division of Engineering, contract award to American Athletic Courts Incorporated, the lowest responsive and responsible bidder for track improvements at Watsessing Park, amount not to exceed $277,000.
Thank you. Recognizing freeholder Wayne Richardson, and thank you for your commitment to the board. You just received an award. Congratulations, and you were able to make it back. Mr. Bromowitz, 44.
Yes, Madam President. 44, we actually, at last week's meeting, had the companions to these authorizing the funding for these projects, so we felt it would be advantageous to actually put in the actual contracts this week. That's why we're asking for the added order. I thank you for that. 44 is Public Works Division of Engineering, contract award to Zenith Construction, the lowest responsible bidder for the Bison Exhibit Observation Area Improvements, not to exceed $549,000. The scope of work for the Bison Exhibit is going to include 1,200 square feet of rustic patio area for guests to rest and observe bison, a peeled timber trellis attached to a glass curtain to observe the bison, educational signage, Adirondack chairs for visitors, signage, and renovation of exterior bison holding facility and landscape around the exhibit. I have Brent Spencer, the director of the zoo here, as well as the contractor from Zenith Construction, Nick Nyack, here to answer any questions you may have.
Yes, and please come forward, both of you. Mr. Bromwitz, is this the same vendor for 45?
Yes, Madam President, it is. That would be for the construction at the petting zoo improvements at Turtleback Zoo, not to exceed $258,500.
Okay, thank you. Can you please speak to both 44 and 45?
Yes, good evening. Nick Naik from Zenith Construction, the contractor out of Orange, New Jersey. Any questions you have, I can answer those on those two projects.
I'd like you to tell me what the work entails, what it consists of.
The project, the resolution number 45, the petting zoo, we are replacing the existing PVC vinyl fencing, and we're going to install new curbing and new ornamental fencing around the exhibit. And under 44, for the bison exhibit, we are constructing the new exhibit, actually new observation area for the exhibit, retaining wall, wood trellis, some side furnishing, landscaping, and some electrical work to the trellis.
Thank you.
So they can view the exhibit from the corner of the exhibit.
So they can view the exhibit from the?
From the corner of the whole area.
Okay.
On one corner, right.
Okay. Mr. Polavecchio?
No, I don't have any questions.
Mr. McInerney?
No.
Freeholders, do you have any questions or comments? Freeholder Seabolt?
Thank you. Last week, I commented that the Open Space Trust Fund Advisory Board had a meeting on February 1st, and we reviewed all of these projects, and the minutes will indicate exactly what is going to be done specifically. So I'm looking forward to seeing the improvements.
Thank you.
Freeholders? Would the director like to say a few words? Sure. When you come to the meeting, I like everybody to speak.
What happens if you're too shy? I'm Brent Spencer, I'm the director of the Turtleback Zoo. Both these improvements are ones that we seriously need. The fencing of the farmyard is original to when that farm was built, and it's pretty beat up, so this will help a lot with our appearance up there. The curbing will stop the runoff, so it's a good situation for both the visitors and the animals. The bison is an exhibit that needs a lot of updating, and this will allow a much clearer view of the bison and improve the area for the visitors.
Thank you. Freeholders? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Baumwitz, 46.
Madam President, we'd like to withdraw 46. The vendor is stuck somewhere in traffic because of the storm. He was trying to get here for 2 hours, he told us. He called and cannot make it this evening, so can we withdraw? And
Yes, and thank you very much for that formal request. 46 is withdrawn. Resolutions 3.
Are we voting?
Come again? Yes.
Excuse me, are we voting?
Freeholder Siebold, yes. Just give me a second. Resolutions 3 through now, along with today, 44, 45, and 46, they were all read into the record last week. Okay? Does anyone see on the commendation or in memoriam something that was not read into the record? I believe maybe 36 through 43. Please, freeholders, correct me if I'm wrong.
I read those.
You did?
Yeah, I
Okay.
remember reading about.
Does anyone have
Eagle
any
Scout.
objections to taking 3 through 46 together as one? Do any of the freeholders want me to take any out?
What-
Freeholder Toro?
What numbers?
The whole thing.
The whole thing? Freeholder Toro?
It's up to till 45, because we withdrew 46.
Oh, that's right, we withdrew 46.
Thank you, Freeholder Toro. We withdrew 46. So it's up to 45. Freeholders, are there any questions or comments regarding resolutions 3 through 45? I'll give you some time. If there's anything that you require additional questioning, please let me know, and we will extract it from the vote. Okay? Freeholder Siebold?
Are we taking the commendations also?
Yes, Freeholder Siebold.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. Number 43, could that be by acclamation?
By acclamation? Has this been given out already?
I have no idea.
Okay. I know we put it for record. Has it been given out already?
I'm not sure.
Okay, let's put it by acclamation.
Thank you.
And if it hasn't been given out, let's make sure we catch it before it does.
No, I don't remember seeing it.
Freeholders?
We do, we will.
Freeholder Bobadilla? Do you need anything extracted from resolutions 3 through 45? Do you have any additional questions regarding those resolutions?
No additional questions.
Freeholder Richardson? Freeholder Luciano? Freeholder Siebold? Freeholder Toro? Freeholder Jones? Freeholder Johnson? Do I have a mover and a second to take
I'll move.
resolutions 3 through 45? Moved by Freeholder Siebold. Second by Freeholder Johnson. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Toro?
Yes.
Freeholder Siebold?
Yes.
Freeholder Richardson?
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano?
Yes.
Freeholder Jones?
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson?
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Gill, absent. Freeholder Bobadilla?
Yes.
Freeholder President Timberlake?
Yes.
So moved.
Thank you. Are there any report of board committees? Freeholder Toro?
Yes, yesterday we had our Work First committee meeting focused on issues and challenges at the Training and Development Department and the Essex County One Stop Career Service Center. It was a great meeting, and in attendance we had President Timberlake, Freeholder Richardson, and myself, and from the administration, Director Nebo Ramos, WIP Director Samuel Oparaki, Attorney Mr. Waller, and Carmen Farnacola. We discussed preventative measures to reduce risk of bed bug and mice infestation. We discussed improving snow removal, contracts with DPW to avoid the huge mountains of snow that stay all winter long, taking up the limited employee parking space, and fixing the fence that was damaged in the last storm. We also requested funding to see if we can increase our summer youth employment services, a program that really helps adolescents staying off the streets, gaining job readiness skills, experience, and fostering their sense of responsibility and community service. It's a small price per adolescent that really reaps large benefits for all our communities. We emphasize the importance of avoiding interruptions of providing vital services at the One Stop. In particular, we talked about resume writing assistance workshop, and we talked about how there should always be a backup plan to the backup plan so that our clients do not go without these vital services. And we communicated how the board as a whole is really pushing for more creative ways and ideas to provide Essex County unemployed residents more job training, apprenticeships that offer hands-on experience, increasing their marketability, and ultimately creating life-changing opportunities so that they can reach their full career potential. A full comprehensive approach is what we envision, and part of that vision is hoping that we can create a training and development fund and possibly a 1 or 2 employer outreach team. So that is on the works. And we also discussed the Essex County Annual Job Fair and offered a few improvement suggestions. Now, I'm going to move on to the last thing that we talked about, and I really want the freeholders to understand what is going on. We talked about what I call the ABOT situation. It's a critical situation that can lead to a crisis, and I'm going to try to explain it to the best of my understanding. ABOT stands for Able-Bodied Adults Without Dependents. They are individuals who are receiving food stamps. And by law, the federal government requires that these individuals meet annually with their caseworker and receive workshop activities and provide job search logs. But because of the nation's economic crisis, since 2008, the state has every year put in a waiver to the federal government so that, New Jersey bypasses these requirements. However, this last year in December, the state did not put in a waiver, which means that now there is an estimated 11,000 ABOT people throughout the state that must meet the criteria to see their caseworker in person and either be provided an exemption for the work search requirements, and if not, they have to receive an activity and submit job search logs. And out of the 11,000 ABOT people, 7,200 of them are from Essex County. And the deadline for these individuals to meet with their caseworker and receive these services is April 1st, which is 5 weeks away from today. If they do not meet these requirements on time, they will not only lose their food stamp benefits, but they will also become ineligible to reapply for 3 years. So again, this is major, it's a serious situation, and it can turn out pretty ugly, but, and I believe that it's a domino effect. When people depend on food stamps to eat, and if they don't receive those services, it can lead to community health problems, higher rates of homelessness, higher crime or drug use, domestic violence, because research has supported that these things go hand in hand when we talk about problems sourcing from poverty. The administration, Director Nebo Ramos and WIP Director Samuel Oparaki are working really hard around the clock. They're doing their best, working with numerous partners, the New Jersey Department of Labor, the Essex County College. They're trying their best to find the best way to create a streamlined process to avoid a major problem. But I wonder if we are asking for the impossible, and it may be so. Our legal team, Attorney Mr. Waller yesterday, suggested that maybe we can do something from the legal standpoint standpoint. I spoke to the administration. They're also having conversations to see how we can ask for an extension of time, because it's not a matter. I do believe that these cases should be reviewed. Since 2008, it's time that we do review them and make sure that everyone is still eligible to receive those services. But I firmly advocate that, you know, we should get an extension in order for no clients to fall through the cracks and unjustly become disqualified for a service that can potentially mean life and death for them. So I wonder what else we could do collectively to find a solution. And as you know, time is running out, and I'm praying for the best outcome, but I did want you all to be informed and aware.
Thank you, Freeholder Toro. And let me just tell you that I couldn't have made a better decision than making you the chair over that committee. You are doing an outstanding job. You see it every day, you live it every day, and you have really firsthand or secondhand experience in being able to bring information back to this board. Freeholders, this is a very critical issue that we spoke about yesterday in great detail, and our attorney did inform us that we could potentially take legal action. And if that is something that we can do, I believe that we should make a statement, because it's absolutely deplorable that somebody could potentially lose aid to eat in our country, in our county, in our state. It's disgusting that a waiver wasn't even applied for that, and it's also unrealistic to think that our department can actually handle all of the people that are going to have to be processed by that April 1st deadline. They are trying everything. They are, ramping up for this, and they're getting ready. They're having big seminars and different things, getting the information out there. However, if there is something that we can legally do to make a statement, I urge that if that is something that needs to come before this board, that we definitely take action and do it. Freeholder Bobadilla?
No, I want to thank you for that report, because I do agree with our president that you are the right person to chair that. But here's something that I know quite well. A couple of months ago, I was late to this freeholder board because I was in New York City meeting with several foundations, and they were giving me a diagnosis of what they are seeing is a lack of middle skills for individuals in urban cities like Newark, East Orange, and as a county, by the way, I don't think we're getting there. You know, I know that Mr. Parkey and Mr. Ramos are working diligently, and they're doing a good job. But you know what? They couldn't stress enough that they have millions and millions of dollars ready to grant to fund programs where we are learning really marketable skills. There are some soft skills that are just not cutting it anymore. It's no longer on the radar for large funders to really put emphasis on what we have traditionally called job readiness programs. It's beyond that. What they want, especially with the new WIOA standards, which they're looking for people to get certified and a pathway to employment, we need to change our ways and really think about what resources we can provide to individuals, and really up the programs enough so that it leads to employability where they have marketable skills. And those skills I'm talking about, which are middle skills, are like skills in technology, A+ programs, skills with electrical programs. And it's not enough to help people with resumes. It just isn't, and it's not cutting it. So we need to, I think, stress to that department that we need to really think about the future of these individuals, their impact in the community as a whole, being contributing members to the aggregate, and really think about providing them means where they could be self-sufficient and provide for their families. Thank you.
Thank you, Freeholder Bobadilla, and I couldn't agree with you more. In fact, we're going to be having work sessions very soon regarding something that we can potentially do and produce to do exactly what it is that you just said. So please look out for those work sessions that are going to be coming within the next few weeks or so. Freeholder Jones?
Madam President, that sounds great, that you will do work sessions, but you're talking about 7,000 people in Essex County within 5 weeks will not be able to receive food stamps. We need to act on it, and where do what has happened to the 11th hour? That this is a crisis, because for the simple reason, survival is the law of nature. If we don't give it to them, they're going to take it. If I was in that situation, I would take it to, I'm not going to die of starvation. So somebody with all of these different consultants and these different departments should have had their hand or their thumb on the pulse that this was coming in to give people, if it's a certain type of certification, because most likely if they're getting food stamps, they don't have a job. So it should have given them enough time to try to prepare so they could get the proper documentation so they can get some to eat. This is basically what you're saying.
Thank you.
But workshops are fine, but that don't fill the stomach. So somebody need to get up in the front office or whatever and make sure these citizens of Essex County find means of getting the service they need to survive. They are human beings.
Freeholder Jones, I'd like to clarify a point that I made in the beginning, which is we received legal advice from our counsel yesterday where we can potentially may need to take, taking legal action could potentially be an option. And I am asking that if that is something that, after discussing with administration, as well as legal counsel on the administration side, as well as our legal counsel, that this board act swiftly and act quickly. Freeholder Bobadilla's point was that now, in addition to doing what it is that we need to do quickly to make sure our residents do not go hungry, that we should also be looking into other ways on how to train people with usable skills and to train people so that they can get jobs that they can take pretty much anywhere. And that is where I referenced that we will be having work sessions within the next few weeks to discuss a potential, a program that would be likened to just that. So please look out for that. But yes, ma'am, I do hear you and I understand. Freeholders? Freeholder Toro?
I just want to say that, sitting here every week, I hear my colleagues, we're all on the same page when it comes to let's give our Essex County residents more jobs, let's give them more opportunities, let's give them more training. We fight for the same issues. That's why we're so dedicated to public service. And one of the ways that we can continue this conversation effectively is through the committee meetings and to attend to the meetings. So in the future, when these meetings are scheduled, I really encourage all of you, whether you're on the board or not, that you attend and that you speak up for your beliefs so that we can collaborate better and get to our goals faster. Thank you.
Freeholder Richardson.
Thank you, Madam President. I agree with my colleague, Bobadilla, work sessions. I agree with everything that's said here, and especially what Freeholder Jones said. And when I brought this point up at the committee meeting, and I don't want anybody, one of us, to be the next victims, because what's going to happen, and we all know what's going to happen, is if people can't eat, they can't get food stamps for basic survival, then the first law of nature will kick in, and that is survival. So I don't want to see anyone here be the next victim, but when people go into survival mode, they're going to eat, and they're going to find a way. So I don't want any of my colleagues, any of my neighbors, or anyone to fall victim to this because someone didn't want to put in a waiver so these folks could get food stamps. And I don't care how much training you give folks or how many workshops you have, you can't train them fast enough and give them enough jobs in 5 weeks. It's impossible. While those things are important, matter of fact, that's my life's work. That's what I do for a living. In construction industry, is train people for career opportunities.
It's an unrealistic
So I know what it takes. But in 5 weeks, there's no amount of training that you can give anybody that they're gonna have the skill sets necessary to carry themselves for a career and for the rest of their life. So something has to be done, and if it's through this board, and we gotta get outside attorney and file an injunction or whatever it is we need to do, then somebody needs to step up, because if we don't, then we're not doing our job.
That's right. And that's what I'm speaking about when we talk about possibly needing to take swift legal action. Again, we will discuss this with the county executive. We have our, his attorneys as well as our attorneys. We have already begun discussions legally, and we're going to proceed with them, and everybody will be updated on that. Any other questions or comments? Friola Luciano, do you have a report of board committee?
Yes, I did. Thank you, Madam President. I didn't have a committee meeting, but I would like to request one. I want to thank our clerk, Deborah Davis Ford, for bringing to light that I, again, am the chair of the Mosquito Control Committee, and I know that we see globally there's a big issue with the Zika virus, and just to sort of put our residents at ease, I think that it would be important within the next month to 6 weeks that I sit down with the committee and the administration, hopefully that's okay with you, Mr. Abramowitz, on the fourth floor, to discuss how we're doing and what we're going to do moving forward with the new potential virus that mosquitoes could be spreading here in the United States.
Thank you. Freeholders, any other report of board committees? Any legislative reports? Any written communication? Any unfinished business? Any new businesses to discuss? I did want to make mention, thank you for everybody who came out and participated in today's Black History celebration. We had some incredibly just merited honorees, and Black history should be celebrated year-round, and Black history is indeed American history. I also, and I was remiss in not doing this last week, I wanted to give you an update. The Boko Haram Roundtable, in which our Freeholder Board came out in support of Congressman Donald M. Payne Jr., was an absolute success. There was over 100 community members there in attendance. Thank you to the Freeholders who came out and supported it, and it speaks volumes about the type of congressman that we do have, who was there sitting and listening to members of the community in the African diaspora who are very much so concerned about this terrorist group operating in Nigeria, and concerned that this terrorist group is going to be spreading in other areas of Nigeria, in other areas of the continent of Africa, as well as a potential threat to here in the United States. And he sat there, and the community members spoke, and clergy as well, and there was even the consulate general who was there, and it was incredible to sit there and be able, and an honor to support the congressman. I told them that as freeholders, a lot of people don't know what freeholders are or what it is that we do, but sometimes it's not necessarily who we are, it's who we know. And the fact that we were able to pass legislation in support of the congressman was certainly appreciated by the community, as well as helped to facilitate that round table. So I just wanted to say thank you to you all again. Are there any other freeholder comments or new business? Moving to public comment session. If there's any member of the public wishing to speak at this time, please come forward, state your name and affiliation. Madam Clerk, let the record reflect there's no one wishing to speak at this time. No other freeholder comments. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Move it.